Hello, welcome to this primary candidate forum, co-sponsored by the Daily Record newspaper and the League of Women Voters. My name is Charlie Sorensen, and I'm the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters, Kittitas County. Founded in 1920, the League of Women Voters is nonpartisan and an organization with over 800 affiliates across the country. It encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League never endorses candidates or political parties at any level. We don't care how you vote, only that you vote. League membership is open to all genders, ages 16 and over, and we invite you all to join us. Our moderator for this primary candidate virtual forum event is Catherine Murphy. Catherine has been a member of the League since 2017, where she has filled a variety of roles at the state and local level. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to moderate our virtual 2020 primary candidate forums. These events offer voters the opportunity to hear directly from candidates in response to questions that we've sourced from the community. As with everything else right now, we are learning how to modify traditional in-person events to virtual ones. The League of Women Voters records and retains a full, unedited copy of all candidate forums. If any portion of the League forum is redistributed out of context to make a candidate appear to say something they did not say, or are edited to make a candidate look bad, or in any way they did not actually look in the original forum, then the League of Women Voters will alert the media, provide the unedited video for comparison, and file appropriate complaints with the applicable governing authority, dependent on the seriousness. If fraud is involved, also law enforcement. For the virtual 2020 primary forums, we record each candidate interview using the same structure: a 60-second opening statement, 90-second responses to 3 community-sourced questions, and a 60-second closing statement. The forum recordings are being offered in 2 formats. Viewers can watch each interview as a standalone choice, and they can watch a 5-part playlist which shows all candidates in the order they appear on the ballot, answering the same question in a compiled video. Part 1 includes the introduction and each candidate's opening statement. Parts 2 through 4 show each question being asked, then the candidate's responses, and Part 5 shows each candidate's closing statements, plus my closing remarks. The forum recordings will be available at the Kittitas County League website and on our YouTube channel, on the Ellensburg Daily Record website, and on Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Channel 191, and Inland Networks television channel. The Congressional U.S. House of Representatives, the job description that we have taken from Wikipedia is: the House is charged with the passage of federal legislation known as bills, which after concurrence by the Senate are sent to the President for consideration. The House also has exclusive powers. It initiates all revenue bills, impeaches federal officers, and elects the President if no candidate receives a majority of electoral votes. 8 candidates are running for the Congressional 8 U.S. District House of Representatives seats. 3 of us are joining us this evening: James Mitchell, Jesse Jensen, and Dave Salibio. The other candidates either did not respond or they declined our invitation. It's now time for opening statements. Mr. Mitchell is first, and you have 60 seconds to make your opening statement. We would like to welcome you to our forum. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, I'm James Mitchell, your pro-life Democrat, next Congressman. I am uniting us all for a better life because I'm your candidate with heart. Pro-life for whole life. I've been called an anomaly because I'm a hybrid mix of the best of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, taking the best of both worlds. I grew up in the less fortunate realm, and I've been through 99% of what anyone here has been through before, so that makes me relatable to you. And my heart's been broken for everything from homelessness to low wages to inadequate and unaffordable housing to lack of innovative jobs and manufacturing. And I have solutions for all those as an entrepreneur that I am. And I just am looking forward to being able to continue working with this process so one day when I get into Congress, I can start implementing all these opportunities for our community.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome Jesse Jensen to the forum. And Mr. Jensen, you have 60 seconds for your opening remarks.
Thank you so much, League of Women Voters and Daily Record. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm the Republican running for the 8th Congressional District. I grew up on the working edge of poverty. My dad was a pastor. I grew up in small towns, went to public schools, went to D.C. to work for Senator John Thune, who I drove to Walter Reed Medical Institute in 2007. There I met a wounded warrior who only wanted to go back to Iraq. That moved me to enlist and become a captain in the Airborne Infantry and then join Special Operations Command, where I ultimately served 4 combat tours and earned 2 Bronze Stars. I'm the father of 3, as you can see from the backyard here, and I'm happy to live and hail from Bonnie Lake. I'm running because I think we need more servant leadership in D.C., and I'm proud to have the endorsements of Dave Reichert, Senator Slade Gordon, Rob McKenna, the Kittitas County Sheriff Clay Myers, the Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett, and a host of others. And again, running for servant leadership to bring some more common sense to the other D.C. Thank you again so much for the opportunity to speak with you all.
Thank you. Now we'd like to welcome Dave Salivio. And it's now time for your opening statement of 60 seconds.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Salivio. I'm a Trump Republican. I believe President Trump is going to rebuild our economy bigger and better, but Congress needs to help him. Trump is fighting for all of us with one hand tied behind his back. The candidate you elect will either make his job easier or complicated the next 2 years. If I am elected, I will do whatever it takes to help President Trump succeed so we all prosper. So, to my fellow Trump Republicans and disillusioned Democrats, make no mistake, this election is a fight for liberty and freedom, almost like it was back in 1776. Remember, we are American citizens. We're not subjects. Visit my website, alltrumpdave.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 1. If elected, what are your top 3 legislative priorities that you believe will provide the most benefit to the people of your district and why? Mr. Mitchell, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Thank you so much. The first priority that I'm running for is pro-life for whole life, which means cradle to grave, womb to tomb. That includes more affordable and safe options for expectant mothers who would either consider keeping their child or putting it up for adoption if they were able to carry it to term and then have that life be spared. We need more support for expectant women so that women have more choices. In addition to that, we need affordable housing right here in this area. I've lived here 24 years and I've seen it always be not affordable for those with wages not being able to really afford what's needed just for the basic living standards. We also need innovative manufacturing jobs. So with jobs, we have better paying job opportunities, plus we have innovative manufacturing, plus we have the healthcare subject as well. Many people are always looking for natural alternatives, and we need some natural alternatives to be introduced and helped for people to be able to have those as well. So there are many options that we have, things that we need, and I have solutions on jamesmitchell4life.com.
Thank you. Mr. Jensen, if elected, what are your top 3 legislative priorities that you believe will provide the most benefit to the people of your district and why? And you have 90 seconds.
Great. Well, thank you again for the opportunity to share sort of my legislative priorities and to speak to the League of Women Voters. So first and foremost, coronavirus response is absolutely what we need to take care of. I believe that we need to provide a hand up rather than a handout approach. I believe that we need direct stimulus payments to consumers so that they can actually stimulate the economy and we can have a quicker or V-shaped recovery. What I don't think is necessary or in fact required is what my opponent has done. She's voted for a $3 trillion package that has blanket immunity for murderers and rapists, gives $14,000 debit cards to illegal immigrants. The list goes on. So I think that we need, again, to pass coronavirus response quickly. We need to make sure that schools have what they require to open. We need to get kids back to school. And speaking of schools, I'm a proud signatory of R90, trying to repeal the Sex Ed Act that was sort of rammed down our throats here recently in the state. Secondly, I think that we need police reform. I'm proud to stand with Senator Tim Scott, the only one of two African-American men in the Senate who recently passed or tried to pass a Republican bill that unfortunately was shot down in the Senate, Democrats for political reasons. And I'm proud to support the police. Again, I think we need to have, sort of a national registry for bad actors and a host of other things. But again, my opponent had the opportunity to condemn the defund the police movement and to condemn the autonomous zones, and she didn't. For my third and final priority, I think you can go to our website, jessejensen2020.com. It includes healthcare, transportation infrastructure, the environment. The list goes on. So again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Salivio, question one for you. If elected, what are your top 3 legislative priorities that you believe will provide the most benefit to the people of your district and why? You have 90 seconds.
There are 3 areas I would look at. First, I would work to support legislation that would rebuild infrastructure, new and better roads, new bridges, fix our dams as needed. I want to make sure we have sufficient and effective means to support commerce. Commerce is business, more commerce, more business, more jobs. More jobs, higher wages achieves the American dream. It improves our quality of life. Second, I want to help make sure that in rural areas, we have adequate medical facilities. Personally, it would be very disconcerting not to have a hospital within reasonable driving distance. Third, I would support our farmers by backing President Trump on his mission of fair trade, as opposed to free trade. That is, make sure that our farm products don't get the short end of the stick. While these 3 issues sound good on paper, I'm more comfortable if I had a specific roadmap. Here's what I propose to do. If elected, I'm going to conduct town hall meetings and focus groups because I like data. I like data. Data sets me free. I'm a trained, certified meeting facilitator. I use a disciplined process to conduct my meetings. I guarantee you, within 45 minutes with a group of people, I can have a plan put together that would normally take 4 to 6 hours to accomplish. And I will do this throughout the whole 8th district. I will then roll everything up into a master plan.
Thank you. This question is for Mr. Mitchell first. Again, question 2, as a community leader, what are you doing to mitigate the pandemic crisis and protect those impacted? If elected, what actions will you champion and how will you handle non-compliance? Mr. Mitchell, you have 90 seconds for your response.
Thank you so much for that. This pandemic is a pretty complex situation that we know some of the challenges that we face with this virus. But one of the things I've been really frustrated with is that we have not had accurate reporting of data. We have had situations where flus and other issues, colds and things have been just wrapped into, as COVID. We need accurate reporting. We also need testing for people that the testing itself is improved. Because with the testing right now, if I get tested, if I've had a previous cold, a flu, or some kind of an issue, it's going to show up that I am potentially COVID positive and I'm going to end up on a list. So we do not have right now the accurate standards for testing. Those need to be improved. And then we also need to be looking at how to handle and address those who feel the need for security. If they're health compromised, they need to absolutely do whatever they need to do, wear a mask, whatever they need to do for their habits. But for those who do not have health challenges, who have strong immune systems, and who don't feel led to have to wear a mask, then they shouldn't have to. So we need to be considerate of everyone. And along with that, we need sensible direction. We need sensible testing and guidance. And I've been so skilled and researched in this whole category that I'm fully prepared to bring it.
Thank you. Again, Mr. Jensen, question 2, as a community leader, what are you doing to mitigate the pandemic crisis and protect those impacted? If elected, what actions will you champion and how will you handle non-compliance? You have 90 seconds.
Well, great. Thank you again for the question. First, for the community leader portion, on this campaign trail, campaigning in coronavirus is a bizarre endeavor, right? As you can see by me joining you here from your backyard. What we've done on the campaign is try and get folks information, right? So we've been sharing and been working with Bruce Danmeyer, the Pierce County executive, been working with the county commissions out on the east side, just trying to make sure that folks are receiving information. For the second portion of the question, if elected, look, Congress needs to do a series of things. 1, they need to help protect the vulnerable. 2, they need to make sure that testing is increased. And 3, we need to get the economy back open again. And sort of in reverse order, getting the economy back open again means that, we need to ignore sort of the prognostications from a lot of the folks on the left that you can just work remote and that, essential workers can, sort of do their job from their home. Firefighters, police officers, grocers, these are folks that know that they're essential. They know that they have to go into work. We need to get schools open back up again, and we need to be creative in how we do that. A large part of that is ensuring that schools and municipalities have the funding that they need and that consumers are spending, because consumer spending accounts for over 40% of our economy. And we need to make sure that we actually have the resources there and available so that folks can actually go back out and spend money. I think we've seen time and time again that the folks in charge today, especially in Washington state, seem to be picking winners and losers. You can go and buy your marijuana, but you can't go to a church service. Your big box stores are open, but some of these small businesses are getting crushed. As I was driving to Enumclaw for an appointment for my wife, I passed a sign that said, I thought the point was to flatten the curve, not flatten small businesses. I think we absolutely need to make sure that folks are able to get back to work, and included in that, and absolutely is necessary, is making sure that farmers are protected and that we have good access to the PPP loans. Thank you.
Mr. Salibio, question number 2 for you. As a community leader, what are you doing to mitigate the pandemic crisis and protect those impacted? If elected, what actions will you champion and how will you handle non-compliance? You have 90 seconds.
Well, I'm going to answer this question a little bit differently. The roadblocks right now are governors and mayors, not President Trump. As far as I'm concerned, Trump did everything in a very decisive and expeditious fashion. So I'm strongly advocating opening up all businesses and schools right now. The mortality rate for this Wuhan virus is less than 1%. So how come we don't lock up the whole place when there's a flu season? The flu is more deadly than the Wuhan virus. Science, in my opinion, does not justify making a cure worse than the problem. Protect our elders and those with underlying medical conditions. Let the children go back to school and play again, and open up the churches. I'm over 60 and I'm at risk, but I'm not stupid. I'm a big boy. I won't go to restaurants, bars, or football games or mingle in crowds until there's a vaccine. So I want to let people make their own choices. I just returned from the island of Kauai in Hawaii, and my dad passed away. That island has 0 deaths from the Wuhan virus, yet it's locked down tighter than a drum. Economy is suffering. I was allowed permission to attend the funeral, but I had to stay at the house otherwise. The local police came by and checked on me several times. If I had violated the lockdown, I would have been arrested and received a $5,000 fine.
Thank you. Moving on to question 3. What kind of policies and laws will you advance to reduce or eliminate social and racial inequities faced by people of color, immigrants, LGBTQIA, disabled, and low-income residents? Mr. Mitchell, you have 90 seconds.
Thank you. This is such an important topic. Ultimately, we're all children of God, no matter what color we are, no matter what race, no matter what gender. We need protections in place in the workplace and in social atmospheres as well for everyone. Everyone is special and everyone deserves the respect from everyone else. And when it comes to any kind of inequality, that just can't be tolerated. We have to have laws and rules and enforcement to protect those and, prosecute those who are, prosecute the ones who are, causing the problems and protect those who need the protections from it. Our law enforcement, we do need reform and some better training and some things in those areas. We do need law enforcement. We don't need to defund the police departments. That's not even going to go there with where that would end up leading to. But essentially, we just need proper law enforcement, proper training for them, and then we need to respect everyone and remember that we're all the same. We have differences, but it's our sameness that unites us. And that's what I'm all about, is uniting, just like my campaign slogan, uniting us all for a better life.
Mr. Jensen, what kind of policies and laws will you advance to reduce or eliminate social and racial inequities faced by people of color, immigrants, LGBTQIA, disabled, and low-income residents? You have 90 seconds for your response.
Yeah, so I think that's a very important question. Kind of the theme and the mantra of my campaign has been servant leadership. And servant leadership is something that I learned in the military, putting the needs of the men and women under my command first and foremost. When I was, taking hills and going on special operations night raids, no one asked me if I was a Republican or a Democrat. No one cared if I was white, black. No one even cared if I was gay. In fact, I'm proud to say that I'm been endorsed by the Log Cabin Republicans, which is an LGBTQ group within the Republican Party. As far as what rules or laws I would pass, again, I think that the American dream should be attainable by all. And that's really where I would focus, is deregulation and lowering taxes so that we can ensure that folks have an unrestricted, untethered access to be able to create wealth and come out of poverty. I think that that's a lot harder for a lot of folks in different communities, and that's something that we need to really focus on. Eliminating discriminatory practices in lending, eliminating discriminatory practices in policing. And again, I spoke to this earlier, but that's why I stand with Senator Scott in his police reform bill that provides more funding for police cameras, that has a national registry for bad actors, so that if one police officer moves from one location municipality, there's over 14,000 different police municipalities. And right now, one police precinct can't check in to see if another officer has had a issue in the past. So again, that's something that I really do stand with. And I also, at the same time, stand against defunding the police, because I think that's a terrible idea. And having been on 4 combat tours in Afghanistan, I can tell you what that looks like.
Thank you.
In anarchy. So again, thank you for the question.
Mr. Salibio, what kind of policies and laws would you advance to reduce or eliminate social and racial inequities faced by people of color, immigrants, LGBTQIA, disabled, and low-income residents? You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Good question. But, all those things are covered under the 14th Amendment in the Constitution. So I want to talk about another issue that I'm really concerned about. One is the China threat. We have $400 billion annual trade deficit with China. We owe them $1 trillion in debt. The interest alone to China is $70 million a day. China steals American intellectual property anywhere from $200,000 to $600 billion a year. We discovered, that our medical supply chain is mostly made in China. China makes everything from ibuprofen to iPhones. How stupid is that? So Communist China has a detailed strategy to overtake the US by the year 2049. I advocate that America becomes self-sustaining once again and cut ties with Communist China. They won't last. You know, China needs us more than we need them. So we need to beat back China now while we still can.
Thank you. It's now time for closing statements. Mr. Mitchell, you have 60 seconds to make your closing remarks.
Thank you so much. One of the additional topics that I plan to focus on once I'm elected to Congress is education reform. COVID gives us the opportunity to step back and review our education system and create new modernized approaches to education because our current system is antiquated and outdated. The programs I'll bring will also include programs for parents who are interested in homeschooling. As an entrepreneur and a visionary and a business person that I am, I have all these solutions because I know how to forward look and forward think and forward plan. So with that, you can see my book that came out on the market last year, From Shark Tank to JWoww, on the jwow.com, jwowfit.com website. You'll see that I'm real. On your ballot, please check the first box, the number one name, which is me. Why? Because I'm the only candidate that can garner both parties' pro-life candidates, Republicans and Democrats, to push Kim Schreier out of office on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jensen, it's time for your closing remarks. You have 60 seconds.
Great. Thank you again. The theme of my campaign is servant leadership. And I really, again, do want to make sure that we're taking care of all the constituents of the 8th Congressional District, not just those in the western side, but also the farmers, the growers. And one of the reasons, that I've been so excited about this candidacy is because of the folks that have endorsed me. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Washington State Farm Bureau, by Congressman Dave Reichert, by Senator Slade Gorton, by Attorney General Rob McKenna, by former state legislator Jan Charbrough. The list goes on. The Kittitas County Sheriff, the Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett, the Mayor of Ording, Josh Penner, the Mayor of Bonnie Lake, Neil Johnson, the King County Republicans, the mainstream Republicans, and again, I think I mentioned it, but I'll mention it again, the Washington State Farm Bureau in the primary. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I hope to see you out on the campaign trail, and thank you again for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Mr. Salivio, it is now time for your closing remarks, and you have 60 seconds.
About 30 years ago, my wife Wendy was stricken with progressive multiple sclerosis, the worst kind of MS. Wendy suffered as a quadriplegic, but she hung in there so our kids could have a mom. I raised our 3 kids like a single parent, caring for Wendy while working as a manager at the Boeing Company. Wendy died in 2014. To the very end, I kept my promise I made to her on our wedding day. You see, I'm old school. I never make a promise I can't keep. So as your congressman, I'm gonna make it 2 promises. 1, I promise service over self-interest. 2, I will always put America first, period. So please visit my website, alltrumpdave.com. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank candidates James Mitchell, Jesse Jensen, and Dave Salibio for joining us and sharing your views with the voters of Congressional District 8.
You're welcome.
As we conclude, I want to remind everyone that our ballots should arrive by July 17th, and we have till 8 p.m. on August 4th to return them. If you're not registered or need to change your address, you have till July 27th to do so online or by mail. After July 27th, you can register, update your registration, and vote in person through 8 p.m. at your county auditor's office. You didn't get your ballot by the 17th? Please call or visit your county auditor. To get more information about all the candidates running in the 2020 primary, the Kittitas League has created a nonpartisan online voters guide. You will find links to candidate websites and other helpful resources. You can get information also at vote411.org and at the Washington State Secretary of State's office. I want to thank the candidates, all three of you who made the time to participate in this event. The Kittitas County League wants to thank the Ellensburg Daily Record newspaper for co-sponsoring the 2020 primary forums, and to Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Network, and Inland Networks for showing the forum videos throughout our county. Finally, thank you to the many league volunteers who makes this event possible. Your vote matters. Join me by casting your ballot in the August 4th primary. Thank you.